All right, perfect. So let's go ahead. I'm actually going to bring in this CAD from start here. So let's go ahead. Again, if you've already got it brought over, great. But I'm going to go ahead and copy the whole thing. So I'm going to select everything here. I'm going to type in Control-C for copy. Come over to here. There's nothing on my sheet here. And I'm going to hit Control-V. When I type in Control-V, that should paste it. And when I paste it, I should be left with something that looks like, hey, this sink is 50 feet wide, okay? So I'm seeing that that sink's 50 feet wide. That's a little too wide for a sink for me. Okay, so I scaled the whole thing. So I went ahead and selected the whole thing. And I am going to scale it, S-C-A-L-E. I'm going to specify a base point of anywhere I want, typically near a bottom corner. And I'm going to scale it with a factor of 0.3937. Now, I think that's going to convert to centimeters. So it's going to convert centimeters to inches. What we want to do is we want to convert millimeters to inches. So instead of doing this twice, let's come here and type in 0.03937 and hit enter. And once we get that scaling factor of 0.03937, when we take a dimension, there's our dimension right there, 23.62 inches. Okay, so what we did, again, we went and scaled this drawing by point, and I'm going to just type it in right here so we can see it, by 0.03937. So that scaling factor for any drawing or any block family, sorry, not family because family is Revit, but any AutoCAD block that we pull down, and I can post all of these files, I'll post all of these on our canvas. Any of them that you pull down from here, we're going to need to scale. So the idea is that you guys understand how to scale it tonight. I would like that we are all working with the exact same files. And so when tonight's over, I'm going to try and just take all these blocks, get them into one file and scale them all together and have that posted. So you can utilize one DWG to pull all of your blocks from. Does that make sense? So that's what I was trying to do earlier. It didn't, I think something happened when I was pasting, whether it was the way that I was copying it. Because if I look at this, I think that all of these CAD blocks ended up all being the same. And they all ended up being that bed plan. So I will go ahead and build something that looks like this for you for next week. Cool with that? Okay. If you want to get something in the meantime for tonight or for any time this week and you want to go use that website, okay, you can utilize any of these blocks on this website at the cad-blocks.net. We just need to realize that if we download them, we need to set that scale, okay? And the scale is set by scaling at a factor of 0.03937. Okay. And that will convert from our millimeters to our inches. All right.
Would you actually want to make those into blocks, or you just save them there and then copy and paste or whatever?
They're already blocks. So right now, if I go and click on this, so see how multiple things select at once, right? That's got the drain, it's got 2 sinks, and it's got like the area where you put, you know, your maybe some dishes off to the side while you're washing. That's already a block.
I guess I mean add them to your block library.
You could add them to your block, and when you bring them into your project, it'll automatically populate in your block palette.
Okay.
Just by copying that in. So if I have a brand new, I'm going to go ahead and make a new file for tonight. So if I go to new, and I want to come off of, I'll just go ahead and come off the same template I used earlier. So new document or new file using my construction 241 template. Right now, if I go to my block palette, you should see that currently the only thing that's in there is a title block, drawing title block, and another title block. I've got something for a call out, it looks like. However, when I take these, and so if I go to this construction 241 AutoCAD blocks, and let's say I like this sink, and I'm not saying you need to bring in all of your stuff. I think you be selective of what you want to bring in. Maybe I want this crazy sink for my bathroom. Maybe I want this sink for the kitchen. And maybe I want, you know, an alternate sink for my kitchen. So those 3 sinks right there, I'm going to select. Go ahead here and hit Control C. And when I go to my new drawing and I paste these in, those automatically came in over here now as blocks that are in my current drawing. Okay. Do I need to rename them? Probably a good idea if I really cared. But you can see the thumbnail of it. I'm not too concerned of what the image looks like or what the name says here, because I know it doesn't bode well. When you copy a block in, it is already created as a block, so that name is already associated to it. You have to explode it and rebuild it in order to rename it. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Thanks.
Yep. So, but they will be there once you bring them in. So again, I would just limit on what you're wanting to bring in instead of grabbing this entire kitchen sink, because then it just builds your block palette into a massive list of things that you don't exactly know what you're dealing with. The other thing real quick, I know I showed you this last week, but right now I've got mine as a list. If you want to have yours as icons, okay, maybe large icon, you can see an image of what that is. So the name doesn't really matter, right? You can kind of make out that that's a sink. Okay, make out that this is a sink in a profile view, another profile view. There's a round sink in a profile view. And then you could just drag that out, right? And go ahead and utilize that block. Any questions? I know that we did a lot of these. I want to go ahead and do one more. So, and just to make sure that everyone has the scaling down. So let's go ahead and go back to, we'll go back to this cadblocks.net. And if we go down to, if we go to like the 4th one over, you'll see this cars and vehicles CAD block. Let's go ahead and open that one. And let's open up the one, let's go ahead and open up the 3rd one over. So what this one has is it's got all of the angles of your cars. So if you want to put a car in your driveway and you show it in plan view, you can show it in plan view with one of these, and then any of your section views would have the appropriate elevation put in there. So let's go ahead and open this one. And I want to download this CAD block. Close that. I don't care about the ads. And there it is right there. It downloaded. And I've already downloaded it once, but it's going to be 3-3 CAD blocks net car views. And when we have that, let's go ahead and double click this to open it up. We'll open it up as a read only, which is fine. And you can see we've got some complete views of many makes and models of cars. So it looks like here's a Volkswagen Bug, right? Looks like got a couple different hatchbacks. What is that, like a PT Cruiser or something? Some type of roadster. Okay. There's a Porsche 911. So, and it took somebody some time to make these. And that's why I want to utilize stuff that's already built. So that way you don't have to spend the time to make your project look good. All right, I'm going to jump back to the Zoom and see who all is here. Why don't I see you guys anymore?
And can we have like double, like another page where we can just bring in all our stuff and then from that just.
Yeah, that's exactly. That's what I'm thinking. So we have, ultimately, I'd like to build one document, and this is the document that I will build over the next week and have it posted. But I still want you to know how to do this and scale it on your own. That's why we're going through the process. What happened to here? Now I can see everybody. Perfect. All right. So has everyone got this open? The new CAD blocks with the cars in it? All right. Okay, I got about half of you guys. Perfect. So let's go ahead and do the same thing we did before. Okay, I'm going to select from the top left. Click once, and then I'm going to go to the bottom right, click again. I'm going to use my keyboard shortcut, Control-C, to copy. And then I'm going to go back to this one that I'm calling Construction 241 AutoCAD blocks. And I'm going to go ahead and paste this in here. Okay, now you'll notice when I paste this in, and depending on, because I already scaled some stuff, it looks like it pasted in kind of funky there. Did anyone else have an issue where it pasted your, oh, see, that's still reading kitchen sinks. Let's go back. Let's go back to this and see if I can. Let's go back to there's the kitchen sink one from Force.
It made my kitchen sinks into cars.
It did what?
Made my kitchen sinks into cars.
It made them into cars.
Yeah. When I pasted it.
When you pasted it. So I wonder if that's what was happening to me. That it was pasting. So let's go back to this CAD. I want to grab all of this. I want to copy. And actually, I want to just Control-C copy. Select objects, copy. And maybe that's what was going on here. I mean,
yeah.
So when I specify my insertion point, Control-V. So now this didn't make my sinks into cars. I wonder, did you have your other sinks selected when you brought it in? Did anyone else have that? Does anyone else have two different have
mine are normal.
Yours is normal? I think you must have done something, Todd, when you brought it in.
Yeah,
I don't know
possible.
why this is
I'm
scaled
trying it again now.
funny, but like now I'm gonna go ahead and scale these. Base point, and I'm gonna 0.03937.
And then we scaled it at 0.1, right?
No, I said 0.0 on that one.
Okay.
The first one we just did 0.3937, and then we did it 10 times that, which was another 0.1. This time we went 0.03937, which went ahead and already did that 10% as well. And then I can grab these and move these over. So that the goal is for me to have a complete, and I don't know why these are being funky. I guess that would be about right in respect to the size of a sink. These cars are going to be quite a bit larger. So that looks like those scale together. So what I'd like to do for you guys, and I'll do this over the next week, is get a full block file already for you that's already scaled into the correct inch dimensions. Okay. So let's go ahead, now that we've learned a little bit about these new ones, this scaling portion of it, where we got a few of these blocks from. Let's go ahead and open up last week's assignment. So I'm going to open up why don't I have it right here? And there, it should be this one. Here's last week's assignment. Perfect. Okay, and this is what we just built a few windows, right? We did some walls. We had some opportunity to create some trim work with that. Okay. So what I'd like to do today is start thinking about our final projects. So what our final projects are going to be is ultimately we're going to be creating a floor plan with accompanying elevation views for a room a room or a house that we are familiar with. So realistically, it could be your place. It could be a place that you make up in your head. Okay. I don't care what the actual space is. If you want to utilize your own floor plan from home, take measurements, and make it exactly what your house is, more power to you. Okay. We will look at a secondary story next week. Once we finish up these profile views, secondary stories are super easy. It's just essentially the same floor plan. You just have another floor plan that represents the second story compared to the first story. And we can look at that next week. But ultimately, we're going to be creating something that has some type of a floor plan layout. Let's just say, super simple, whatever. And then each side of this is going to have an elevation view that depicts what's going on that wall. So we're going to have one view that will show the north wall, one view that's going to show the east wall, a view that shows the south wall, and a view that will show the west wall. Okay, so all the views are going to look something like this. Hopefully a little bit more detailed than this, which is why I'm trying to get the blocks all sorted out. So that way, ultimately, you can just plug and play, move them around as needed. But that way, you're not spending a ton of time trying to create, this sink or a door or, or a window, right? So the goal is for me to provide you with that. So that's the plan, and I will try to get that posted as soon as possible. But in the meantime, I would like for you to go ahead and start looking at what is going to be the shape of the floor plan for my final project. Okay, so ideally, it's not a perfect square. I don't care if it's just a rectangle, right? Maybe it's maybe it's a rectangle like that, or maybe it's something that looks like this, where it's got a little cutout. Maybe it's something that is actually a true rectangle. But I just don't want to have like a perfect, 15 foot by 15 foot square. Okay, so something that we can utilize some rooms in, and maybe it's a studio apartment. If so, that's fine. we can go ahead and use, you know, a small kitchen area. We can make its own independent bathroom, right? Because you're still going to have a bathroom with a door typically for a studio. You might have a bedroom, living room, kitchen that's all kind of combined, but you're still going to have some walls. You're still going to have some cabinetry. So just because you might have a simple layout doesn't mean you can't do a good job of detailing it. Any questions there? Okay, I kind of feel like I'm talking to nobody, but
What about a roof? No roofs?
I'm not worrying about roofs. We can put a roof, we'll put a roof on in our elevation view if you want to put something that represents, you know, whatever your pitch and your peaks are, right? We can do something that we put a, you know, a 30-degree roof on, and we can see that in our, we'll see that in our section elevation views. Okay, but we're not going to worry about any type of roof for our plan view.
Okay, cool.
But this would have, you know, a little bit of an overhang, right? So you're going to show that,
Yeah.
and maybe you'll have a dimension that shows me this angle, right? So we can look in here at our, we've got different types of dimensions. So maybe we've got, oh, that's a line. Maybe I want to use this angular dimension. Okay, so I grab those two and I can see that maybe those aren't the best. So let's go ahead and grab this angle. That's what I want. Maybe I got a 27-degree roof. Okay. And then I can see that, you know, I've got a 6-inch overhang or whatever, right? And this roof, if we're going to draw this, right, then maybe I need to have some thickness to this. So I'm going to specify that I want to, I don't know, it's going to be made with 2x4s with a plywood. Let's just go ahead and call it 5 inches. It might be a little bit high. I don't care. But there, let's go ahead and offset that 5 inches. Okay, so now we've got something. Oh. Okay, so now you've got something that actually represents a roof that's not just a line, right? So that kind of a thought process maybe for the roof. But that's about it. I don't really want to go super in depth. If you want to get crazy and you want to put shingles on it, more power to you. I do not require that. If we wanted to just come in here and create a hatched region or something, we could do that for our roof. Okay, so there's lots of options for it. It's a pretty easy thing to do later, so I wouldn't worry about your roof really until, you know, 3 weeks from now. So this is class 7. And I believe we go 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the last class is going to be the 29th, which gives you almost a month to start looking at this. I'm going to, on the 8th, I will hand out the official paperwork on this project. With, you know, all the requirements, but right now I am pulling quite a few of those requirements out of there because I don't want to do the final the way it was done in the past, where you are, ultimately it's just a final project. I don't care to do a full scale rule reading of plans for our final project. This is an AutoCAD class, not a hand drafting class. No. So that being said, I don't want to give you something right now and let you see it. And then next week you're like, well, why didn't you edit this out? So I just want to go through it, finish it off in the next couple of days. And the plan wasn't to give it to you guys until next week anyways. So I just want to get us going, get us thinking maybe about what we might want to start looking at, maybe an area that you're familiar with. Like I said, maybe it's your house. Maybe it's your apartment. Maybe it's your dorm room. Okay. Even if it is your dorm room, there's still a lot of stuff that we can figure out how to detail. You know, and maybe you even go to the nth degree, I mean, you can always go one step farther. You can always add molding. You could always add in receptacles. You could always add it. I mean, there's always something more you can add. Okay. So just because you have a simple room doesn't mean you need to have a simple drawing. Does that make sense? Any questions about that? Because just because you have a small room doesn't mean, oh, okay, my project's done when I draw my 4 walls. We still need to have content in there that we can ultimately build off of. Because I want to be able to take your plans, and for the most part, I want to be able to go and build whatever building you're in. You know, whether it's I actually go out and build it, no, but it should be constructible, right? So same thing right here. You know, if you've got trim work on it, we know where that window is, right? But we need to make sure that we're, you know, tell me how thick that trim is. Okay, let me know what's going on in your project. I shouldn't have to guess at anything. So like if the window is 4 foot wide, you know, I should know that, you know, on this dimension layer, I should have a 4 foot wide dimension right there for my window. Any questions, comments, concerns? Do I have anybody left?
We're here.
No concerns here, sir.
All right. So let's go ahead. This is gonna be the first of many over the next few weeks of what I call open lab time. So this is time, the instruction for this class, we will still have more instruction every week. But most of your class at this point is going to be lab time with my assistants to help you out where need be. But ultimately, we're going to start looking at taking this on and taking on the final project. So we've learned a lot of little things. It's just now putting them together and getting them all put on the same piece of paper, so to speak. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open it up to open lab time. And if you've got questions, please holler. Just go ahead and unmute yourself and say, hey, I've got a question or whatnot. We'll chime back in at 7:30. So that's 40 minutes. I'd like to please see some content from everybody. I'd like to at 7:30, we're going to get back together, and I want us all to be able to share a little bit about what your idea is for your final project. Okay, so what type of building are you going to use? What type of space? It could be your office at work. It could be this computer lab right here for all I care. It could be a gymnasium. I don't care what the space is, but it should be something that you're either A, familiar with, or B, have a good conceptual idea of what you want that space to look like. So then that way you can model it accordingly.
So, hey, Graham.
Yes.
So I understand you're not going to post the official directions till next week, but
Correct.
I already know I want to do my apartment, and would it be
Perfect.
safe to say I could at least just start, you know, the perimeter frame? That's safe. Like that's not going to be
Absolutely
excluded. That's definitely
Nope.
going to be in there, so I can start on that then.
Ultimately what I'm getting rid of in the instructions is stuff that we're not covering in this class anymore. So if it's something that you've got an idea of, hey, I want to do my apartment or my house or whatever, absolutely. Like I think that's the best thing for you guys to do. Just because you can physically go take a measurement. Okay, it's something that you can have later on and be like, hey, what does your place look like? If you ever want to try to look at remodeling, you've got something with some dimensions and kind of know, hey, my kitchen's set up like this. I've got 4 feet of space between the fridge and this door. Okay, I think it's highly advantageous to utilize a space that you currently have. And maybe it's a 2-story house. Maybe you only live upstairs. The downstairs is 2 bedrooms. Okay, I'm only requiring 1 story on this. Okay. If we want to go above and beyond, we definitely can. We'll get to that over the next couple weeks. But let's start with a single floor plan. A single floor plan, And then we start looking at all 4 of our different elevations and how we want to tackle those. And maybe it's not just 4 elevations. Maybe you want to have an elevation for your kitchen, an interior elevation. Maybe we want an exterior elevation of the front door and the windows, but maybe the east wall we want to view actually from the inside of the house because we can see the kitchen there. Okay, so we'll get all of the requirements nailed down over the next week, and I will present that to you next week. But no matter what you do tonight, it's not going to be for nothing is ultimately what I'm getting at. So if you start, drawing out a basic perimeter, let's assume, a 6-inch exterior wall, a 4-inch interior wall, things like that, you're just going to get yourself ahead of the game. Because the more time and effort we put in during the front half of November for this, the easier the last half of November is when you actually have hard finals for other classes. Okay. So I don't want to, oh, Mr. Thompson, I didn't have time for this. We're starting this, literally you've got 28 days until this is due. Let's not be starting it on the 27th, trying to put something together for the 29th turn-in date. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave the computer running. If you've got something, please chime in. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put us into what's called breakout rooms. I'm going to put myself into my own breakout room. If you want to jump into my breakout room and ask questions, by all means. But that's where I will be until 7:30 when we come back together, and we are going to just chime in with each person, kind of have an idea of what your project may entail, and maybe a quick, explanation of what's going on. So just something that you're showing you're thinking about it, you've got an idea, and we're starting to put the effort and steps forward to make the drawing happen.
So I have a question on this week's submittal for our work that we do on what screenshot would we be using for this week's assignment?
This week's submittal, you are going to be giving me a screenshot of where you're at essentially 7:45.
Perfect.
You're just going to turn in something, right? It's not, I don't need it to be anything in particular. We're just going to be taking a screenshot of what you've got in an hour or so.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
Not quite an hour, right? Whatever,
Yeah.
when
Whatever
we wrap
time.
up. So,
Okay, thanks.
okay. And if you want, we can just not do the breakout room. And if you want to just yell at me, that's cool too. I'm totally game with that. The breakout room is just kind of nice because then it keeps our conversation from distracting others. But at the same time, I do like that when students ask questions, maybe other people might gain some knowledge from that as well. So I don't care one way or another, but the next half hour is work time for everybody.
Would you recommend that we use the template that we've been using to start this project on?
I would. I think that would be a good idea.
Go ahead. First of all, I forgot, actually, I had a class.
Oh, no worries.
Oh,
Here, let me mark, hold up, let me mark that you came. Because
And
I want to give you credit for at least showing up. Thank you for being here. Whether it's late or not, I don't care. So there you go.
so what I gathered from whatever I listened is, you want us to draw something which I want to do as my own project.
Yep. Yep. That's what we're going to be doing. Just and again, it could be just a very basic, outline of a perimeter. Maybe I've got a room here, right? We've got half hour or so a few lines on there. Just something to get you thinking and working towards the right direction. Okay.
I kinda got like the front of the house built, you know,
Okay.
and I put my, and you know how I was having trouble with the, like, the
Yeah.
dimensions of all that, so that's what I got so far. I got like some windows in there and stuff like that. Like,
Okay.
door.
So let's take a look at this real quick, just because of the way that you're running here. So that's this your door. So what is this actually to scale of any type right now?
It should be into feet, inches, so it shouldn't.
So, well, it should be, but that's what I'm
Yeah.
wondering. So if I, what did you? You got it, get it out of it. It kept hiding.
Oh,
So let's change this real quick to. We don't have here. Let's go ahead and change this to. Architectural, so that's 102 inches. Okay, which is fine. But we want it to be in. That's. Where is this in this? Oh, is this in? That's a new drawing you built.
yeah, that's a new drawing that I made.
Where did this come from? I don't know that. Did you?
I just made that one. I just made something right to kind of.
Sure.
Get.
Yeah. What I'm getting at though is you.
My other ones are all on AutoCAD. They're different ones that are open.
Okay, so but this sync one, so see how you like these drawings? This sync drawing started with like a. Let's go to the download. So like you downloaded this. Right here. And I think that. So did you by any chance utilize, like do a save as?
Yeah, I saved it and then I copied it like you
Okay,
explained to me.
Okay, so so the one that you copied to, let's see. What I'm getting at is, this is called 0502 syncs, so this is still.
So I see what happened. That's the way.
We're not utilizing our template, so let's do this, let's go here, file new. We're gonna create a new one, where's our template we created? Didn't I find it?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Okay, so now, this is our template, okay, so let's go ahead now. And if we wanted to, let's say we could bring those other ones in, right, but let's start drawing your wall here. Okay, so. Let's start drawing. That's what's going on. Main line is a dot. There. That's gonna cause a lot of, like, gonna get rid of it, because this was going on top of this, so you couldn't have access to any of this. So now I'm gonna turn my ortho on. And now when I draw a line. It's gonna draw straight up. Okay, so I'm gonna draw that line at 10 feet, okay? And since we are in our own template, not the one that we grabbed. There's a 10-foot wall. Okay, so when you were drawing in there, it still had centimeter units. And so even though you converted everything, it's still gonna read that way.
Yeah,
That's why I wanted to start with this template,
okay.
and you did, and the reason I saw that is because you saved it as a 5 dash something sinks. And so like, now let's say this, you can bring in your other blocks in here. Once you scale them, bring them in,
Okay,
but then this is gonna utilize,
the template, the actual measurement that we have, that we're
Right.
going off.
right, and so then there's that, which is 76 inches, right? If I change this to,
Architectural.
right, so right there, like 6'4", that's what we wanna be seeing, not a massive string. Now, when I change this. Architectural, that's what I get, and that's what we wanna be reading.
Yeah,
And granted, this, we still probably wanna change this, I wanna change this to a 1. You weren't here last week, so I don't know, so I'm gonna leave you a little less. Thank you, that's marketing. Okay, so we're gonna do what we're gonna do is we're gonna build a new dimension style. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and. I'm just putting a few lines
Yeah,
in there. Okay, good. So right off the bat, when we dimension this. There to there. It's really tiny, it's automatically in inches and it's in decimals.
Yes.
Okay. Let's change that, and make it the way we want it to make it look. Okay, and you'll also notice. I'm just doing this just because. There's my. The reason you'll see in a second. But we've got what's called a line extension. And you'll see how this works once I have. All this done. Okay, so we just got a square, right?
Right.
What I wanted to do is get this line down there so you can see the gapping that's gonna happen. So,
Okay.
okay, so we're gonna use our dimension tool. Bottom corner, the bottom corner. Bring it down. Same thing that we had before, 76 inches, right? Okay, now though. We've got something to look at for the gapping. So see how there's that little tiny gap there?
Yeah,
But when you zoom out, you don't see that.
exactly.
We want to see that gap, because that gap says, this is the end of my object, and here's the start of my dimension. This is relative to each other, but they don't touch. If
Exactly.
they touch, then it's very confusing to tell
Yeah,
where the edge is.
you posted in the link that you were in the video that you were saying that, so you don't want it to tell that you want to be there, but not actually see it when you're.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's why I drew this line, just so we knew exactly where that reference was,
Okay.
because it's really hard to just see, like, without this cross line, it's hard to see where that ends.
And how could I fix that? Is that
That's
something?
what we're gonna do right now.
Oh, okay.
So that's what I just wanted to show you, that's
Okay.
what we're setting up. Okay, so what I wanna do, arrow size. Right there, okay, so if I change that to 2 inches. You big ass arrow, right? But, is it really that big?
No.
No,
Okay.
okay? So I think we went ahead and went with 1 inch, okay? We're also gonna change. This right here, where it says extension line extension, we're gonna change this exit line extension, we're gonna change this to 1/2 inch. And this is gonna change that gap there. Let's see. Change that there. Oh, extension line offset. Change that 1/2 inch. Actually, let's just go ahead and change it. So that didn't change it. It's 32. It might be this bottom one instead. Might be this. Yeah, that's what it was. It's the extension line offset. Is what creates the gap. Okay, so now I got a gap in there. 2 inches is a little much for your gap. I like about 1/2 inch. But everything's relative to how big you're looking at it too.
Right.
Okay, so just enough for me to see that there is
Yeah,
a gap. But that text size is still too small for you to read.
exactly.
So let's go ahead and take that text size. And let's bump that text size from 3/16 straight up 1 inch. Okay, now I can see that text, right?
Right.
And then last but not least, we want this to be in architectural. 16 inches, fine, and I'm gonna take this off of here, press 0 inches and say no. What that means is if this reads 6'0", this would have just said 6 foot. I want that 0 to be right. I want it to read 6'0",
Okay.
not 6 foot. Like I want to see that no one's forgetting that.
Yeah.
Right, it's
Yeah.
gives you a more precision like
Measurement.
exactly.
Okay.
Okay, so what we're gonna do now, I like the way that this looks now and feels.
Okay.
If you want to update it, by all means, we can. Here, oh, let's change this. That's what this is. So remember how I did 2 inches, and a 1/2 inch?
Yes.
Let's change them both to 1/2 inch. We have a extending down, that's what's going on. That going down, we just passed there. So now let's move this back to 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. And that, we extending the same distance my gap is.
Oh.
Okay, so that looks a lot better.
Yes. One thing.
Yep.
Okay.
And again, if I wanted to make that arrow to,
And that's what I was trying to get on the last work that we made, but I couldn't get it.
Still finding it, I'm trying to find, I did that at home, but I was
you're, you're good.
my house and I'm trying to find that, this is what the problem with my
Gotcha.
Google Drive is.
All right. So last but not least, let's go ahead
It says my.
and let's right click it. And then
Here.
we're gonna select it. Why is it trying to? Then. Like wanting to, it's just automatically start a new command, it's wanting to start my next command, you don't know what right click button. on there. The right click. Your keyboard shortcuts are. File, where's my options? So really, if you don't have right click. Your right click is do it again.
Yeah,
Did you set that?
no,
Okay,
I did notice that though on the mouse.
we need to change that. Cause so let's go to.
Yeah.
This is nuts. Because what I wanna do here, let's just do this. Looks like, I need to right click it. So yeah, but don't, it's shouldn't do the same thing, I mean, unless you have that set up as a profile for this mouse.
My mouse, I have it. Why is it?
No, we really could. I would give it, it's gonna be the same thing. It should be the global mouse settings. It's gonna be the same thing.
No, I must have been. So.
I know, but I'm saying it doesn't matter what mouse we're using, it's still the right click for feature of the mouse.
So when you right click, what?
I'm supposed to get all my properties and options.
No,
It's supposed to give me something, and right now it's trying to
yeah, it's just trying to.
start a command. Okay, give me 2 minutes. Something's going on there. Okay, here, follow that dialog box. So, click raster menu options.
Raster menu options.
Where's that here?
Raster design options, dialog box. Is displayed. User preference term?
Settings, like shit, left. Here. So that's what should be coming up. Okay. Every time. So now we wanna do, what I'm gonna do is dim style, I'm gonna set this as a new dimension style. Okay, so save as, we're gonna call it construction 241 dim style. Okay. Now. When I click on this, you'll see right here, dim style, constructed 241, okay? So now that if I make a new dimension right now. It's gonna go back. Because we made the style, we haven't told it to be the default. Okay, so what we need to do is come to here, go to the annotate tab. Right here is click the standard, and we change it to construction 241 dim style. Now, any dimension you make is automatically.
We'll run to that style. Awesome.
Okay, but that was. Right, that's the right click. It's like all I need to do is.
Thank
It's
you.
like all my options are not here. And yeah, and that mouse didn't make a difference, and I didn't think it would, but I mean, worth a shot, man, I mean. But it's still just the right click functionality of a mouse. Of which one, I don't care. What are you doing?
I was just setting my dim style also.
Error size, we went
Yeah, that's.
alright, so now you can just draw something from scratch.
Okay,
And I would just, draw something.
all right.
But now you can utilize, I mean, I just do. Let's just. How long of a wall you want to start with? 20 foot?
Yeah.
20 feet. Okay, and then let's just draw this.
And that's what drove me crazy because I put my numbers
Mhm.
and they didn't look correct, so I was like, I would try to figure out
And
why
that,
it
if your
is.
units are,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
so now
it's
let's
like
type in 6 inches, okay? The reason being is we're building the depth to that wall. Okay, we're gonna come back over here for another 20 feet, right? And then just connect that back together. So now. We're gonna build. A construction line, I'm just gonna offset this by like, I'm gonna type in 24 inches. For 2 feet. This is gonna come back over 20 feet, and I don't know if you saw this in the video or not yet, but ultimately. That's gonna come back over 20 feet, right? Okay. I'm gonna delete this line. So what this is doing is this is now my 20-foot wall, right?
Okay.
In plan view. I'm looking down on that wall. I'm gonna look at this wall. So now I want that wall. Be 20 feet long, and I'm gonna make it 10 foot tall. And now you've got your profile view of the wall, same thing you were drawing with your windows and
Yeah.
your doors, but now we've got it in something with the right units,
Yes.
something that we have dimensions for. And then we'll just go back, that goes together. So now what I did. Okay, and this is. I do what's called it, so. I'm gonna take a line. And this is what I'm known as a construction line. I'm just using it for construction. It's not something that's gonna stay on my document.
Okay,
But it's a construction line. It's just there for me to,
just the base point.
for me to know
Reference.
what's going, right?
Okay.
Okay, so now, I'm gonna take this line. How tall are those? 7 feet, right?
7 feet.
So I'm gonna draw up 7 feet. Okay, and that's gonna be my door line, okay? And I'm just because I wanna know, let's go ahead and put a dimension in. 7 foot, right? Okay. Now, let's have the bottom of our windows be at 2'6". So that's gonna be 30 inches, right? And this is what I'm building, is what's called, what I refer to as a story pole. Okay, so in the field, you've got a pole that's 5 feet. You know, story pole you use all over to ultimately measure the bottom. Give you a top course alignment and be able to level off that.
Yeah,
Okay, so this is the bottom. I'm just gonna move this one over because I like to. Should be communicated one. And then last but not least, maybe I want my, the top of my windows at 6'8". Okay, so type in 6'8".
and then that's gonna be a reference point for the windows and stuff like that, that we're gonna move over to the. where we're gonna build.
Right, so,
Okay.
so this is
Okay.
last week's lesson.
Okay.
So right now, and we built some blocks for some windows, okay, and I'm just gonna just draw you some real quick windows. Okay, and that. There we go. That's 2 perpendicular, so let's go to our ice snap real quick. Settings. Make sure that perpendicular is on. Now. I can drag this. and do the- Sometimes it's easier to just draw it again, okay? There you go. Okay,
That's how you get another kind of magic work.
okay, so we're gonna copy this over 2 feet. Okay. And that's gonna be our window,
Okay,
okay, and I drew a line between here and here, between the center points. And you don't have center points left, with it looks like. So let's turn. Midpoint. And now between midpoint and midpoint. I know that wall is 6 inches, so I'm gonna just move this up in each. Could just be 1 inch. Two. So we're gonna copy this one down. Copy this one. So we're gonna put it in. Maybe we can find that 6. Just. It is. I don't know why that opens. Very much. Oh, that's what it should look like. Anyhow, so there's a window, okay, I'm gonna copy one more, copy this. And I'm just gonna give you another window here, 2 over there. Copy this one more time. And this is where using those blocks are gonna be a lot easier. Because you're not gonna have to. Alright, I'm actually gonna move this out. Yeah. Good enough. And delete, and delete. And then there's. Let's go down there. Just for that, I'm gonna try for us there. Okay. So what we're getting at is that. Yeah, all right. So what I want you to do is transfer this there.
Okay,
So what that means,
we'll copy that.
we're not gonna copy anything. Okay, all I'm gonna be doing is drawing lines. Okay, this is why they're called construction lines. Okay, so I'm gonna draw a line from here. All the way up. Draw a line from here. All the way up.
Oh, and that's gonna transfer everything. To the walls to be. Okay.
And then what else do I have? I've got my story pole that I'll transfer left. Right? By the way, enter is repeat last. So since I typed in line, anytime I type in enter, it's just gonna automatically.
Okay.
Okay, so the same thing. Now let's bring this across. Let's bring this across. And let's bring this across. So now, it looks confusing right now,
Yeah,
but when I do this and I hit trim. Okay, I now know this is my window, right? So check this out. Here's my window right here. Okay, here's my door. My door. That's my door, right?
no way, that's awesome, that's crazy, okay.
Okay, so here's my second window. And you can trim out the rest of it.
Awesome.
Okay, so you saw how that worked, though,
Yeah,
right?
you just literally mirrored it over into.
So we didn't mirror it, we
Well,
just
you-
drew a line, that
Yeah.
a reference line or a construction line,
Yeah,
drew something this way, and now you've got a way.
more precise, okay,
And I didn't spend any time measuring,
yeah,
right? I set up my story pole,
yeah,
and so now every intersection, that's where it's gotta be.
okay.
Okay, so let's go and trim out the rest of them, so you're in the trim command, so just click the lines you don't want. Now you're outside of it now, you've got one left, so hit escape. Hit enter again, now the button do it. Zoom in. Okay, so don't be afraid to zoom. Now you can grab all of these, go click. Click and hold, I believe, let's see. You can zoom out. Let's see what it is. Oh. Click here. As long as it goes through it. So I can take all of these lines out.
And then you just run it across and they'll erase them.
Okay, and then right here, right, I don't want to use those lines. So there's my door, okay, and then on my window, now I can make this window look like a little window, so. On this one, I went midpoint to midpoint, or midpoint perpendicular, right, same thing, so this has now a little four painter. Right. And then. And then maybe this window. And then. Maybe this slide there. So maybe that.
That is in the case of the link slides up.
Right. Right? Maybe you have something that slides over. We're gonna look at the other blocks. You're gonna utilize the other blocks, but this is just kind of getting you started. Okay, so that's pretty much the lesson from last week that you missed.
Awesome.
A little bit more one-on-one with you
Yeah.
for it.
Awesome.
We
Thank
built
you.
these as blocks. We're gonna end up building this stuff as blocks, but again. I think you put in the plane, and then you come and you grab your block and drop it right. Right, so they're not really know that aligns to this one.
Yeah,
Okay.
awesome. Thank you, man.
Mhm.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
It's 7:30 already.
Okay, perfect. All right, everybody, I know that that wasn't a whole lot of time. Do we want to extend this to like another 10 minutes real quick? And meet at 7:40, or do we want to go ahead and meet back up right now and talk about what we're thinking for our projects?
I'm good to talk now.
Talk now, okay, perfect. So that was a Todd, right?
Yes, sir. Am I the only one left or I can't see anybody else?
I'm here.
No, we got Miles, Aaron, and Carrie are still here.
Oh, okay, cool. You just changed the view. I can't see.
Gotcha.
I'm here too.
I know, but you're not online. We also have Marcos here.
Cool.
All right. So let's go ahead. Todd, are you still doing the dual screen thing?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if you can't really share your screen. So let's go ahead and just walk me through your project. What are you going to do for your final?
Well, my sister just got some plans for a dadu, for a property that I may build down the road.
Cool.
But I don't really like the plans, to be honest. So I thought maybe I'd come up with something different, and,
Okay.
and sort of realistic, the requirements for a dadu here in King County, or at least for us, is it's 1,000 square foot or less. So
Okay, gotcha. And that's what I'm saying. 1,000 square feet is perfectly fine. Okay. I
Sure.
mean, it doesn't need to be 2,500 square feet building. You could make it a 300 square footer as long as we take the time and we detail it, right?
sure. So
Um,
that's kind of what I plan to do, something
Awesome.
like that.
Awesome. Well, I think that's a great idea for two reasons. One, you can kind of give your 2 cents of, hey, maybe we could make an improvement here. I really like that idea. The second thing is, if you've already got this drawn up, getting it to the next stage, if this actually is something that you want to pursue down the road, you've already got a drawing in front of you.
Sure. Yeah.
You've already got something to submit for permit. And most of the stuff like this is absolutely enough for permit. So, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a great idea, especially if there's any possibility of it actually being built or changed or whatnot. I think it's a good starting platform. And then again, you've got some time with the software. Down the road, you could always probably, even if you didn't have it, as long as your file was saved, we could always figure out a way to get that back up. So
Sure.
you could make some modifications, submit it in. Maybe they say, hey, let's move this sun porch just a little bit because of this access to whatever, and you move that and you're good to go, and they stamp your permit and you're off and going. So yeah, I think that's an excellent idea. And hopefully you'll get to use it at some point later down the road.
Absolutely. Cool. Thanks.
Cool. All right. Carrie, what you got?
Can I share my screen? I haven't gotten very,
Absolutely.
I
Please
haven't
do.
gotten very far.
That's fine. And I don't expect anyone to get very far right now. I just gave it to you. It's just sort of getting an idea of what's going on, getting your head going. So the next week perfect. Look at that.
So this is my house. This is my
Okay.
front door. And so I just got the 6-inch offset for the inside.
Did you do the whole thing with a poly line, or did you do it with an individual line?
I did part half and half.
Okay. It
Just
looks really
because-
clean. It looks good is why I'm saying. So nicely done.
because when I started doing it, you know, like that back wall's like 20 feet.
Uh-huh.
So then I did it, and then it was like I had to zoom in, zoom out, you know. So then that's why
Right.
I changed to walls.
Gotcha.
So that's as far as I got. I still
Sure.
need to put windows in and such, but
And if you want to just send a screenshot of that for today, that'd be great. You know,
Okay.
I mean, literally, if you've got a line and that's all you've got, send me something, right? That gives me
Okay.
credit and gives you credit, because here's the thing, and I don't like doing this, but we're continually missing half the class. Now, half of you guys are here. All of you guys have been here consistently, which I appreciate. But even something that just assigns that I can say, hey, this is worth 2 points, and you turn it in, it just makes a world of difference in your realm when it comes to grading and giving you leverage to keep high scores. If you're consistently missing and not turning things in, then it also shows that, hey, you really got to be here to be part of this class. Which is, you know, it's not a requirement that you're in the class necessarily. It is for attendance, but you could do it without it, but you got to at least do some of the homework. You got to turn in something. So
Can we submit something like, you know, like once we have something?
absolutely.
Like,
No,
direction that
no
we're
rush
going?
on it. Yeah, it's something by next week is fine. No rush.
Okay,
Like,
cool.
you don't need to submit what you have tonight necessarily. If you've got something and you want to just say, hey, I did something tonight, I got it, throw it in, great. But just so you don't forget. But if you want to work on it over the next week, by all means, let's do it. Like, I mean, again,
Okay, that's what I'd like.
the more time, I can't stress this enough. The more time you put up between now and November 15th is just going to be all of that. You're going to gain all that in the back end when you're not having to, oh, I still have this to do. I still have this to do. Now you're able to finish off your project. You've already got most of your modeling done, and you're just annotating. You're putting in the dimensions we need. You're putting in the chairs. You're putting in the little things that make it complete, but you're not struggling to build your building. And that's especially if you're somebody that is actually going to utilize real world dimensions, or something that, you know, in your instance, you've already got a plan that kind of has some dimensions. Maybe you change things one way or another a little bit, right? It still has to be 1,000 square feet or less. But that way, all of that work is done. So now you're just buttoning it up over the next week. And that's the parts that, you know, just dotting the T's or crossing the T's, dotting the I's changes, you know, from a okay project to something that looks really good. Nothing's on there. Perfect. I'll take care of it right now. Thank you. Cool. All right, let's go over to Aaron.
Yeah, just doing my apartment. I only have a few lines drawn, kind of like Carrie's. Nothing
Sure.
really to show, but unless you really want to see it, but
I don't
pretty
care.
much-
Yeah, no worries.
okay. And I had a question, but I forgot, so never
Okay.
mind.
Well, if you think of it, please reach out and I will do my best to get back to you quickly. Submission online, file upload, and available till next week at midnight. Save. Okay, you should see, Carrie, if you go back into there, it should be back to what you want it to look like.
I'll take a look right now.
All right. Let's go ahead. We'll take Miles and then we'll take the couple people in the class room.
Sure. So I figured I would do my condo.
Okay.
It's bigger than this. Is just the room so far.
Sure. And that's a good way to attack it. Okay. For people that are doing their own condos, doing their own living spaces, don't think you need to take the whole thing at once. Okay. Break it down into a couple rooms, get your dimensions for those rooms, and then build on top of that. Okay. Go ahead. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I just figured I'd have the space. I can easily measure it since obviously I live here. And then I did have one question because it's a condo. I have shared walls. So when I do the other perspective, the other view,
Mm-hmm.
do you want me to? Oh, go ahead.
I want so what wall do you share? West, the headboard wall right there?
Both walls actually. So this
Uh,
wall here and
West
here's
and
another.
south?
I guess it would be from your perspective, west and east.
West and east. Okay. So
Yeah.
what I'd like to do then for those, when we do our perspective views, I want them in your apartment looking out. For the elevation. So ultimately, when we're looking at that, if you did it from the outside looking in, you would just have a solid wall, right?
Yeah.
If you do it from the inside looking out, at least you can have some furniture that would show up in that.
I see.
Right?
Okay. Gotcha.
So because there will be some stuff internal, right? You'll have a
Yep.
bed, you'll have a desk, you'll have a chair. Whether you see it, in your floor plan view, I mean, obviously, if it shows up in your floor plan, you need to be able to see that same thing in your elevation, right? So, but what I'm saying is, like, instead of detailing your windows, we detail like the cabinetry above that bed. We detail,
Sure.
the shelf or whatever it is. That way, it's not just a blank wall, because a blank wall is not going to have any windows, right? So,
Right. Okay. Got it.
yeah, great question though.
Thank
Real
you.
quick, and not to be picky, do you actually have a 28.5-inch door?
Yeah, I just measured it.
Awesome. Cool. And that's the type of stuff that, like, that type of detail right there just goes that next, that extra mile, which is kind of why it's like, hey, if you do have an opportunity to take a space that you're intimately familiar with, you're right there, you got a tape, right? And then it just shows that, hey, I'm not just putting this here 3 feet away. I'm actually putting it 2'6" and a quarter, because that's what this room is, right? Because nothing is, if you look at the way that architects and people line up their walls and stuff, everything's based off of center, which is great. But when you take a dimension from like the edge of door to your edge of your wall, a lot of times it's, 4'2" and change, right? It's never even numbers. So anyhow, that kind of stuff is just, it's nice to see if you actually have smaller doors, that's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, we'll go to the 2 people in here. We'll start with Marcos.
I'm gonna do, I think, where I live, a house.
Okay.
It's a mobile home, a manufactured home,
Okay,
so I think I'm gonna do that.
great. Yeah, and that's awesome. I think manufactured homes are one of the best things to model. They're relatively simple as far as the exterior goes, right? You just have a rectangle.
Yeah.
However, the interiors can be completely different, and the way that they are lined up, maybe on yours, maybe we'll look at some interior views instead of just an exterior for some of your elevations, just so you can, again, there's not a whole lot going on the exterior. Stuff like Carrie's, hey, Carrie, can you share yours again real quick? Not that this is super fancy or anything, but stuff like Carrie's, where she's got an opening for the door. Okay. And you there, Carrie? Can you hear me? Okay. Anyhow, what I was getting at though is she's got a door that has like an alcove.
Again, is it just a view?
Huh?
I don't see anybody again, maybe it's just a view.
It might be just your view. I've got Carrie, Miles, Aaron, and Todd still here.
Okay.
Carrie, are you there?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, there you are. Can you share your screen again?
Well, I logged out of it.
Oh, okay. Well, no worries then. No worries. No worries. So what I was getting at though is, since Carrie has a front door that has an alcove, having an exterior elevation of that alcove actually makes a lot of sense, because you've got these vertical columns, you've got this depth that steps back, and then you capture it in your other profile view where you see that alcove sticking out from the wall.
Right.
So if you have features like that, I highly recommend us looking at our elevations from the outside. If we don't, and we want to try to make it a little bit more complex than just this one window or whatever, then we take a look at coming from the inside. Okay, but that exterior elevation, if there's any change in depth, absolutely we want to see that. Okay, thanks, Carrie.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, and last but not least, Ajit.
I have gone for my house actually, in our outline. It's a 53 by 32 house with a sunroom attached to it.
Okay,
And
that's
I
good.
have the profile and everything.
Awesome. So that's your plan view right now, right?
Yeah, that will be,
And that's the sunroom off the back corner.
yeah,
Okay, excellent. So same thing for that. We definitely want to see that east elevation facing in, so we can see that depth of.
yeah. When you do that.
Sorry, yeah, the east elevation right here, because you're gonna
Show the garage door here.
right, and you're gonna get this, which gets a little funky, but you get a hard line at this spot where it shows, hey, that this is gonna step back. So, cool, excellent.
This is actually my front door here.
Okay, and is it at an angle like that then too?
Yeah,
Huh, cool. And that's the thing, like if you've got real world stuff, let's grab a, you don't have to grab a protractor, but I mean, if you've got an angle on something, throw an angle on it, okay?
I had to make this angle because I did not want in my house south facing. That's actually south. And I drew it other way. It's south. I didn't want it to enter from the south. I wanted to bring it to east. So I
Gotcha.
tore down the other wall and redid it.
Cool. All right, well, I think that brings us to the end of tonight's lecture. So let's go ahead again. Let's start thinking about the space that you want to develop. Start thinking about, what type of furniture you've got in there. It's, again, the more little bits of drawing that we can do up front right now, the easier it becomes on the back end when we're starting to put the sheets together and starting to put the final details together. You can't detail and dimension all of your doors and windows if your doors and windows aren't there, right? So we need to get that content in first and foremost. We can do everything else later as far as showing your elevations, showing where things exist in space, but if they aren't modeled, we can't do any of that, okay? So I would highly suggest trying to finish your plan view by next week and at least get a good start on it, maybe 85%. Again, we can always tweak it, but it's going to get you a good place to start, and then we'll get profiles going next week and getting all the blocks started to add in and whatnot.
Hey Graham, I can't remember when we did interior and exterior walls in plan view. Did the interior walls, were they different color?
We had them a different color, I think. Yeah, we had them a different color and a different, we had them on a different layer, different color, and they were 4 inches thick. Again, that's all personal preference, okay? So I don't care how it's shown as long as, I can make sense of what's going on.
All right, so yeah, all white is fine then.
All white is just fine. It's, I would like you to think about if there is, and again, we can always reassign lines and different areas to different layers later. So if we come back and you're like, you know what, I actually would like to have all my windows on their own layer, we can always just select that and put them on their own layer. So again, not a big deal. I think at this point, the most important thing is just getting some content in there, and we can work out layers and how the visibility graphics of it are shown at a later date.
All right, got it. Thanks.
Like it's not an AutoCAD question.
Yes.
How do I find my to save as in my Google Drive?
I don't think there is a save as, right? Doesn't it auto save all the time? Google Drive?
No,
I don't know.
It gives me OneDrive, like in Microsoft.
Okay.
So I did last week, did save something on my computer, but from this computer, if I can save it, I can.
That's why, here's the thing. That's why I say bring a 1 gig flash drive so you can,
I do have that.
so I would bring, if you are in class and you're swapping computers, I'd bring a flash drive so that way it's easy. All right, I'm gonna sign off on the web. Thank you everybody for joining me, and I'll get the video posted first thing tomorrow.
All right, have a good night.
Great, thank you. And then next week we'll be hitting our final projects hard and heavy. So the more content you have now, the better it's gonna be when we come next week. Okay, and by now I mean over the next 6 days, not right this second, right? So. But if you chip away at it, put 20 minutes, 30 minutes here and there, you'll be amazed at what you can get done. So I just don't want it to bite anyone in the butt when it's 2 days till it's due and I don't have any content. Sorry. All right. Thanks, everybody.